Now, as you've probably already heard, The Marvels came out this past weekend, and it ended up being the lowest grossing opening weekend in the history of the MCU, which has a lot of people doing a sort of victory lap right now. There are plenty out there who, long beforehand, wanted to see this film be a relative failure for any number of reasons, though mainly because of either a dislike for the actress Brie Larson or because they hoped a poor box office performance might help eventually bring about an end to what they call woke films. While on the flip side, there were also those out there who were hoping this film would be a massive success for any number of reasons, maybe chief among them being they wanted to prove those who wanted the film to fail wrong. They wanted to shut up the haters and have it prove that Captain Marvel and the others in it are good, beloved characters that can carry this franchise and help it going forward, and that female superheroes can be just as great as their male counterparts. And pretty much no matter what ultimately happened at the box office, you could bet that both sides were going to do their best to spin the results as a win for their side. Even if the film had done really, really well, there would have been those making excuses as to why. Maybe by posting pictures showing empty theaters, and pondering if maybe Disney was buying up tickets to inflate the box office numbers. While if it did poorly, which it did, there would be and has been any number of reasons given for that, such as the actor strike only recently ending, which thus prevented any of the actors in it from being out there doing the normal press tour to promote the film. There are those who say that this film would have done so much better if not for that. Those who will claim many didn't even know it was coming out because the hype train wasn't allowed to even leave the station. There are also those who want to blame men for not going and seeing it and supporting the film, which is always a rather strange and illogical stance to take in my opinion. I mean, if the claim about women not being able to get into superhero movies and similar movies as much as men do because they don't have enough female characters in them, if that's true, if a lack of female superheroes is indeed why women tend to go to these films less than men do, which is pretty much the claim or the reason often cited for putting more female characters into shows and movies like this, that women can then relate better and enjoy it more. Well, if that's all true, then it stands to reason that the opposite should also hold true, right? That if women are less interested when there are no female characters, then men would therefore be less interested when there are fewer male characters, and that they should not be blamed or chastised for a lack of interest, since we essentially acknowledge it's okay for women to feel that way, and we even try to correct the problem for them. It should then also stand to reason that if in general women are normally as interested in these type of movies and shows as men are, that again it's only a lack of female characters or representation holding them back from being on par with men in terms of audience size, then losing a portion of the male audience with a movie like The Marvels wouldn't matter because it should be made up for by an increase in female audience members to counteract it. And look, before anyone runs to the comments to call me a sexist for even asking what are, if we're being honest and objective, they're simple, logical, and fair questions. But before you do that, I actually don't really even believe any of that. I don't think men automatically can't or don't get into superhero films where women have the lead roles or are predominant. I think that's ridiculous. The Marvels didn't fail because men couldn't have enjoyed a movie where the three leads were female superheroes and the villain is also a female. The same way I don't think women can't enjoy a good male-dominated superhero film, or one where maybe the women end up being little more than damsels in distress for the male heroes. The whole premise that women can't enjoy these things as much as men because of a lack of, again, female characters, or strong female characters, I guess, that really only exists to justify the pandering we've seen as of late. They say it because they want more women to get into this stuff in order to increase audience size and ultimately revenue. Not because they, the ones who actually make these films, not because they think they're righting some sort of wrong like actual superheroes. Not to mention, is it even wrong for more men to enjoy something than women on average? Again, if we're being honest here. Is it wrong that more men tend to like these sorts of things than women do? Is it something that needs to be fixed if more men go to superhero movies than women? Or could it be that, for one reason or another, men just tend to be more attracted to the idea of superheroes than women do? And that by trying to fix the whole genre, you're actually making it less appealing to everybody, to your core audience who just liked it the way it was. Which also includes the many women out there who already loved the genre as it was. And make no mistake, there is indeed plenty of women out there who do love or loved these things just as they are or were. There were many female fans that existed long before the pandering began roughly a decade ago now, and are also not going to a film like The Marvels because it's not what they want either. But somehow the ones making these films and making these claims about women not being able to enjoy this sort of thing, they fail to realize how insulting they're being to the audience they're trying to target and capture. They don't get that when they put out a low-effort female-led superhero film. They don't realize how insulting that is to, say, women, that you're basically telling them you should like this character simply because they're a woman and they kick a lot of ass. Who cares if there's any actual depth to the character or a story here to be enjoyed? And as crazy as it sounds, yeah, women want good stories and good characters just as much as men do. They don't want heroes for them, they want heroes for everyone, be that male or female heroes, just like men do. Simply put, women also just want really good, well-told stories without worrying so much about the specific traits of every single character in it. Which isn't to say you can't try and include more female characters. Certainly it is a male-dominated genre, and if you do want to get more women interested, it would help to have more female characters. This isn't in any way an argument against more of them being in comic book movies. It's an argument to focus on quality over quantity of these characters. It's saying anyone can love a character as long as it's about the story or the characters, not about trying to make some sort of point with a very on-the-nose message about the flavor of the week topic with a character. And it was likely that expected messaging with the Marvels, what everyone expected to be a very overt female power message in the film, that I would imagine turned a lot of people off, both men and women. Though the funny thing about it is, about the Marvels, and yes, I did see it, is that it really wasn't that type of movie, or at least nowhere near as bad as some, again, no doubt expected it to be and are claiming it to be now. It wasn't really a film that tries to shove some kind of agenda in your face and preaches that women are better than men in every respect. It's really not that woke at all. And I know some of you will think I'm crazy right now and say it was nothing short of a steaming pile of woke garbage, or maybe we'll even go so far as to say its mere existence makes it woke or something. Certainly many have kind of fallen into that trap, that female-led movies must mean woke, which isn't a very good look and makes you sound like what the other side claims you to be. But anyway, had this film come out, say, 15 years ago, no one would have cared or batted an eye at it. Literally, no one would have made a big deal about this movie one way or the other, men or women. Which actually starts to get at the real problem with The Marvels, which is that it wasn't a very good movie. Again, 15 years ago, or even 10, no one would have declared it woke or like it's just pushing an agenda. And no one would have said it only failed because men wouldn't support it. We all would have said, this doesn't look like the greatest film ever. Then some of us would have gone and seen it and confirmed that, nope, it wasn't the greatest film ever. And then it fails at the box office before everyone goes on with their life without having to either celebrate or defend that failure. It would have just been a movie, no more, no less. And I really do miss those days when movies weren't a battleground for the culture war. I oddly, and somehow unironically, miss movies like Catwoman and Elektra, where I could openly say those films were awful and no one assumed I was a horrible person. Or where I didn't have to see or listen to people claim something like The Marvels was an absolute masterpiece, the best the MCU has ever offered. And not because they saw it and actually thought that, though maybe some do, I don't know, and if you do, that's fine. But because to admit anything less than it being perfect is akin to letting the other side win. And that's the real problem here, right? It's all about winning and not about entertainment anymore. Not that there hasn't always been movies that sure try to push some type of agenda, nor am I implying entertainment can't or doesn't shape culture. It absolutely can and does. I certainly get why this is very important to some out there on both sides. But the thing is, not that long ago, movies used to just be something that, more often than not, kind of brought us all together, no matter what. That could even unify us in spite of anything and everything else different about us or that might be going on around us. Movies used to be something that got us talking to one another about something rather benign and helped us realize how similar we all are, that we can have similar tastes even if, again, we are very different people in other respects. They used to be something we could make friends over rather than being something we try to suss out if someone is a good or bad person or not based on what they thought of the latest superhero movie. Which is ridiculous when you spell it out like that, yet here we are. Here we are in a world where The Marvels isn't just a fun, silly movie that we could either like or not like and then talk about honestly. It's somehow a line drawn in the sand that divides us. And until we learn how to erase that line instead of just keep digging trenches on one side or the other, it's unlikely anyone's going to be able to enjoy movies the same way we once did. Which is just a sad loss for everyone. Well, that's all I got for you this time. Now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell me what you think about any and all of what I had to say here, or you can tell me if you saw The Marvels and what you honestly thought about it. Whatever you choose to do, leave a comment below and let's talk some Marvel. And until next time, thanks for watching.